So we've got our 2 boxes filled with our nets, and they're going to settle some, which is going to leave plenty of room to be able to have probably 4 inches of mulch. But we're ready to plant now. One thing I haven't mentioned earlier is that most blueberry plants in the rabbit eye variety are not self-fertile. That means you need 2 different varieties in order for pollination to occur. Tifblue, which is one of the plants that we have, is the only one that's considered self-fertile. But even it will produce more if there's a different variety. And so what we're going to put in today are 2 different varieties. One is the Brightwell. It has a chill hours requirement of 550, so that's at the lower end of our range. And the other one is a Tifblue, which has a chill hour requirement of around 700, which is what our average chill hours are. And so both of these should do well in our climate, and they will bear fruit, bear flowers and fruit. They flower typically in the February-March time frame. They will, powder blue, typically bear fruit depending upon the variety. I've got, we're right at the end of May. I've got several of my blueberry plants at home are already producing blueberries that I'm picking on a daily basis. And so, again, these are going to produce fruit typically in June. And so, now if you look at this particular plant, it has some leaves on it that are showing some evidence of iron chlorosis. That's the yellowing of the leaves, and the veins stay green. So that usually indicates an iron chlorosis, which is typically because the pH of what mix they're growing in is probably not low enough. And so, and also on this plant, we've got this branch that is that's dead, and so we're going to clip that off. And then we've got another branch that goes, actually it's part of the plant that's dead, and so we're going to clip that off. And so now we've got a and I'd wait and see if this greens out. This part may be dead too, and so if I scratch it and if there's green underneath, then it's still alive, and I don't see any green. So I'm going to prune that back to just above a node. And so now we're ready to put this plant in the ground, and then we'll water it in some more.
Okay. And again, man, it's hard to get that wet. I probably don't have to go as far.
Right.
Okay, let me know if I need to put some more in it.
Yeah, put just a little bit back in. That's enough.
Okay.
Okay, let's, okay, I wanted to point out again, we haven't pruned the dead parts off, but I wanted to point out this one. Again, this is the Tifblue. There's a branch coming up and another small one next to it. That's the way blueberries grow. They will put out new growth, and so instead of having a single stalk, trunk, you'll end up with multiple trunks coming out. So we've got our hole made. We'll pull this one out. Now this one's got minimal amount, not enough, no significant circling. If there was a lot of circling, I'd take a knife to it and really cut some of that off, but this is pretty superficial. So yeah, just fill in around that. And the fact that this plant is leaning is okay. That'll self-correct. Blueberry bushes are going to grow the way they want to grow. So I'm going to trim off. Let's see, that's a dead branch. That's a dead branch, but that's a live branch. So I'm going to trim this back to there, and we're good.
Okay, I'll take this little thing off here.
Now, I can tell you from experience, next year you probably won't remember which plant is which, and so I would put permanent markers in so that you can remember the variety that you planted. Again, this one was Tiff Blue and Brightwell. Blueberries require watering fairly regularly, especially when they're bearing fruit. Okay, so we already have, you'll be able to tell with this particular plant how well it's taking into this mix, because this particular stem is going to start to get taller, and so you'll know that things are. I wouldn't fertilize for a couple of months. Again, we've got compost in here. You don't want to overburden them with fertilization at this point. Too much fertilization can be as bad as not enough fertilization, and so you really need to be careful with that. The thing that they need is water on a regular basis. Right now at home, my berries are, like I said, producing already, and so fortunately this spring we've gotten more rain than typical, and so I haven't had to irrigate as often, but I am making sure that I get 1 to 2 inches of water in my blueberries on a weekly basis in order to keep them growing, keep them producing. And so Debbie's got a third bed over there. She's going to get another plant of a different rabbit eye variety to put in that one. Again, something with the right chill hours requirement, and she'll plant that one in the fall. Fall is probably the best time to plant, but as long as you keep them irrigated, why, they'll do fine planting this time of year. Any container. If it was a bare root plant, only try to plant those in the February time frame. Don't try to plant those in the summer. But that's pretty much it as far as planting blueberries, and now just watching them grow. And next year I would expect that she'll have blossoms and some blueberries, and that will increase on a yearly basis. These plants are going to get to be 5, 6, maybe 7 foot tall, and they'll have a span of roughly 5 feet. And so the way these beds are spaced apart, why, these are 3 foot by 3 foot beds. If this plant comes out to about here and that one comes out to about here, there's still room to walk between them. And so again, I think this is giving you the information so that you too can be successful in growing blueberries in Central Texas. We're going to put a link that will give you all the information you need from Texas A&M. But if you want to search for it on your own, do a search in your browser that says growing blueberries in Central Texas site, SITE, .tamu.edu. That will give you several links from Texas A&M. One of them is something that you need to go to the agrilife.tamu.edu and download, but it's a free download, and you can do that without even registering with them. And so again, you'll get lots of information, and the information we want for growing blueberries in Central Texas, the most accurate information is going to come from Texas A&M. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video and will allow you to get started. Again, if you haven't tried blueberries at all, I encourage you to do that. Again, you need at least 2 varieties. even with the Tiff Blue, I would recommend at least 2 different rabbit eye varieties. Pay attention to the chill hours and plant them in a acidic, soilless medium. And you have plenty of time between now and the fall when blueberry plants are again available. I encourage you to get blueberry plants from a nursery as opposed to a big box store. What comes into the big box store, in my experience, they don't indicate the chill hours, and they may not be varieties that are appropriate for growing in our area. So if you go to a certified nursery, why, you're going to be able to get the varieties that are appropriate for our area. Thanks for listening.